Two Somalian-born U.S. citizens were arrested at the airport in Minneapolis, Minnesota, as they attempted to go through TSA with suitcases full of cash. In their suitcases, they had close to $15,000. Each of them had international flights. We now know through whistleblowers that work for TSA that for years, Somalian men would show up in pairs about twice a week with suitcases full of cash. Their money would go through TSA, it would be tagged, then it would be approved, and they would go on their way, sending millions, perhaps billions of dollars to Somalia. The whistleblower that I spoke to said he had seen over $750,000 worth of cash. Another whistleblower said she'd seen close to $1 million. And for some reason, the TSA agents, the people who worked at the airport, would just allow this money to go on. We now know that all this money being sent to Somalia is American taxpayer dollars. No one did anything to stop it. No one even reported it. I guarantee you government leaders knew about this. I guarantee you higher-ups in the airport knew about this, and they were probably getting a little piece of the pie. But thankfully, we are on to this. The gig is over, and HSI did arrest these two Somalian-born U.S. citizens with suitcases full of cash heading to Somalia. Let me know your thoughts on this one.
Somalia has been excluded from Kenya's new visa-free travel policy, and many people are outraged. While citizens from most African and Caribbean nations can now enter Kenya without a visa, Somalis have been specifically left out. Both countries are members of the East African community, which makes this decision even more controversial. Kenyans online argue that the exclusion is based on security concerns, but many Somalis view it as discrimination. One netizen commented, "If we are building a visa-free Africa, it must include all Africans." The Somali government states that this issue goes beyond just visas. It pertains to respect, dignity, and whether Somalia is being treated as an equal partner in the region. Should Kenya reconsider this decision?
So with the Somalis not being let into other countries right now, a lot of the citizens of other countries are saying we do not want Somalis here, we do not want them to be here at all, right? People are beginning to stand up and speak up and saying we do not want them to be here. We have said it countlessly, we don't want Somalis here in our country. And a lot of people are beginning to make videos about this. A lot of people are beginning to have their own opinions about this. Someone even said, I understand why people would not want Somalis to be in the country, right? With everything that has been on social media about Somalis, it is only understandable that some people are taking precautions, some people are being careful right now, right? We understand that. Anyways, I would like to know what you think in the comment section. So do not forget to like, subscribe, and drop your comments. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think that people are beginning to overreact on this? Are they supposed to let the Somalis come into their country? Let me know what you think, okay? Because I really want to understand from your own point of view too. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, drop your comments in the comment section. Alright, remain to the original creators of these videos. Alright, let's get down to the videos that will play out, and then we'll come back, read the comments, and know what people also have to say in the comment section. Alright guys, let's watch.
So you mean to tell me that no African country wants the silly Malians? I was just watching, I don't even know what I was watching, but they said if certain African countries allow Somalians to come to their country, they're going to go to the streets because they don't want the Somalians. They don't want the Somalians in their country. Silly Malians. I thought y'all was the best. I thought y'all was smart. I thought y'all had that good hair. I thought y'all had that good nose. They don't want you in other African countries. They said go back to Mogadishu. Go back to silly Malia. Why don't y'all want to go back to silly Malia? So none of the other African countries want Somalians that are getting deported from the United States and other places.
A former TSA agent revealed recently in an interview that Somalis, yep, you know I'm going to say it, Somali pirates, have been stealing millions of dollars, probably billions. What they've been doing for a long time is leaving out of the St. Paul, Minneapolis airport with suitcases full of money. Like the TSA agents just wave them on through. But you as an American citizen cannot have a bottle of lotion or a bottle of water, they'll make you throw it out when you go through the TSA checkpoints. But Somalis can go through the checkpoint with suitcases, giant suitcases full of cold, hard taxpayer cash. Bro, cash money. Did you hear me? Cash money, bro. Walking through the airport, pimp walking with a limp walking through the airport, not a care in the world, at least once a week, leaving from Minneapolis St. Paul Airport, going probably back to their whatever cave they live in with our money. Now, we know recently that these Somali pirates have been caught stealing billions of dollars, probably hundreds of billions of dollars. When they get through all this fraud that these individuals have committed since Slim Slacks Obama brought them here in 2011, 2012, we are going to really start to be upset about how much money they've been stealing from us and for how long. Dude, these schemes, it's like schemes on top of schemes, underneath schemes. Their scheme and crime network seems to be unending. Every time the DOJ uncovers one fraud, there's 15 more underneath it.
Well, did you look at that? A Somalian coming out of America carrying $800,000 in cold hard cash. Does that not strike you as odd? Because I think it's like 10 grand. If you're an American citizen and you get pulled over for speeding and somehow a cop notices you have $10,000 in cash, even if you've done nothing wrong, they have no proof of anything, they will confiscate that money from you. And yet here's a Somalian going through the airport with $800K in cash. Very funny.
The Somalians were bringing $1 million a day out of the country for 2 years. For 2 years out of the Minnesota International Airport. $1 million a day. So they brought out $700 million in 2 years out of this country, and no one stopped them. They saw it. I guess TSA and them saw it. No one stopped them. I have no idea what was said and how they ended up doing that, but they ended up doing it somehow. I have no clue. I'm going to tell you a story, all right? I went to the Bahamas, went to Atlantis. I brought some cash with me. Ended up winning some money down there at Atlantis. Coming back through TSA in the Bahamas, you actually have TSA in the Bahamas, all right? Because we partner, United States partners with them. I'm carrying like 7,000 in cash, and the guy asks me, "Do you have cash on you?" This is me coming through now. Like, what a question! Everyone has cash on them. You're at the Bahamas, you're gambling. I said, "Well, I have cash, but not cash." You know what I'm saying? Dude's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "Well, I don't have over 10,000." And he's like, "Well, listen, next time you got to be upfront with me and tell me what's going on, because it sounds like you're bringing some cash through here when you say words like that, when you say that." I'm like, "Man, I don't know how to respond to you. You asked if I have cash, I got cash." Giving me a hard time over 7 G's. Imagine $1 million a day.
If you are defending immigration, this is how the Somalis are repaying you.
Ma'am, please keep your hands where we can see them. It's just money for my family, wallahi. I don't do nothing wrong.
You're transporting over 500,000 in undeclared currency. We have to seize it.
I need it for home, please, I beg you.
Ma'am, you're being detained right now. Turn around for me.
They're actually, from what I understand, taking up to $1 million a day out of the country of your taxpayer money and taking it over to Somalia. Basically, from what I understand, they've already paid off their GPD over there because of the billions of dollars they stole off us. So when you're defending the immigration policies that we're trying to put in place, this is how they're repaying you. She just took out more money than you make an entire year. And you're going to try to defend people like that. But as always, I want to hear your comments and hit that like and follow button.
Well, friends, we have another fraud update. In a new video from Nick Shirley, a TSA whistleblower claims he watched Somalis send millions of dollars in cash through the Minneapolis airport on a weekly basis in their suitcases. Yes, he says the smallest amount of money he heard being transferred through a suitcase was about $750,000. But generally, they were transferring $1 million to $6 million a pop. So that's insane. Where is this money coming from? Now, according to TSA reports, over 2 years, they moved approximately $700 million through the airport. And this is just what they flagged to agencies over the past 2 years. Because you have to declare it to Customs and Border Protections if you're trying to take over 10 grand. So imagine what wasn't reported. Now, when asked why millions of dollars a week were allowed to be taken out of Minneapolis, the whistleblower said that as long as they declared it, they were kind of fine. He said TSA would contact HSI and Customs, tell them what was going on, but nothing was ever done the whole time he was there. He said it was normally two men. One would have a few million in his suitcase and the other would have a few million in his. Super cute. Now, according to VIN News, the cash was mostly transported by a small group of couriers of Somali descent on routine flights to Amsterdam and then Dubai, because there are usually no direct flights from Minneapolis to Somalia. And the transfers totaled approximately $342.37 million in 2024 and $349.4 million in 2025. From the Minneapolis airport alone, officials described the volume as exponentially larger, 10 to 100 times higher than similar detected cash outflows from other major U.S. airports, such as those in Dallas, Fort Worth, Atlanta, or New York. Guys, Nick Shirley and his partner up in Minnesota have now found approximately $126 million in alleged fraud via daycares, healthcare companies, and auto companies. And we know that the total amount of fraud in Minnesota could be $9 billion or more. And that $1.7 billion was sent back to Somalia in the form of remittances, which are cash gifts. So super unfortunate for all of the taxpayers, but this is exactly why Tim Walz is dropping out of the race.
We now have suitcases full of cash going to the airports headed to Somalia.
Authorities have discovered suitcases containing hundreds of millions of dollars in a Minnesota airport. Now, in the meantime, Republicans are working to cut funding for Somali-led organizations with alleged ties to the massive fraud scandal. Now, as the FBI pushes forward with its own investigation, one key question arises. What does accountability even look like in this case moving forward?
Did you know that millions, potentially billions of dollars have passed right through here at TSA in Minneapolis, Minnesota? Yep, for several years, Somalians would come in pairs, two men would come in pairs with suitcases full of cash. It would be tagged by TSA agents, but then the TSA agents would send them to a certain room, and then the Somalians were on their way. Once they left this airport, they'd go to the airport in Atlanta, Georgia. From Atlanta, Georgia, they'd go to Dubai. Once they landed in Dubai, they would wire that money to Somalia. How do I know about this? Well, several whistleblowers have came out, and I even talked to a person who used to be a police agent right here for TSA, and he said, yes, it happened. And they were wondering, how did Somalians have this much money to bring through TSA? Well, now we know the Somalians have been frauding the taxpayers here in Minnesota. Yes, the government has allowed this to go on. The Somalians were running these fake businesses and collecting millions of dollars every year, bringing it right here through TSA and sending it on its way to Somalia. Let me know your thoughts on this one.
With everything happening right now, people are beginning to speak out. People are beginning to say, we don't want them here and all and all. But like I said, we have comments, right? So let's head down to the comment section and know what they all think there. Okay, so I'll read. Someone said, I'm not surprised by this reality check. Migration systems aren't unlimited. Countries are more cautious now. If there have been documented cases of fraud or misconduct in visa or refuge programs that only be enforces government reluctance, you can't ignore these facts when designing immigration policies. I mean, if there has been things said about this community, if a lot of things have come up, like we have seen a lot of things coming up in the US where they are saying that Somalis did this, Somalis did that, and all and all and all. Okay, so I totally understand why a country wouldn't want such things to happen to them also in their country, why they will want to be more cautious now, right? So the next person said, people are frustrated because many resources go into resettlement programs. Fraudulent claims or misconduct by even a small number of people can create a perception that the whole community is untrustworthy. That's unfair to the majority, but it explains why communities fighting policies. Like there was a time I said that what you do comes down to your communities. That's why we should be careful of what we say, what we do. We should know that our actions have consequences. And right now, it's beginning to tell so much on the Somalis, right? Why would you do something will come back to your communities? As a citizen, why would you do something that will come back to your communities? And now your communities are the ones who are bearing everything together. And now they are generalizing everything. I understand why it can be generalized that way. I get it. Now the next person said, this is why immigration systems emphasizing vetting and verification. If misconduct has been reported, false documentation, fake sponsorships, or overstaying visas, countries are going to act more consciously. It's not personal, it's about ensuring the program work as intended, right? It's only okay, it's only understandable that a country wants to protect its own citizen, its own country, right? A country thinks about its own people first. If you're going to bring in any kind of harm, any kind of foreign arts to a country, they definitely will want to put their people first. They want to put their country first. So it's understandable. The next person said, I think the bigger picture is a lack on enforcement of fraud undermines policy support for refugees. When a community is repeatedly linked to misconduct, governments and citizens become less sympathetic. That's why headlines like this get distracted. Now, I understand it that a lot of people have heard so much about the Somalis, and right now it isn't looking like good things. I understand why they will say they do not want them in the country because, I mean, think about it. Who would want something to come and happen in their own country? Who would want that? That is why you should be. I always say this. You should be careful of what you do. You should be careful of the name you bring down to your communities. You should be careful. Anyways, the next person said, some people might call this unfair stereotype, but we can't ignore actual cases of fraud. Immigration programs need integrity. If misconduct occurs, it's reasonable for countries to review policies. Otherwise, the programs collapse under abuse. After the next person said, at the same time, not every Somali immigrant is committing fraud. Many are genuinely fleeing war or fame and follow the rules. Unfortunately, a few bad actors can create this distrust that affects the entire population. That's the harsh reality of immigration policy, right? So it's understandable when someone says, okay, I get why these people are saying, do not come to our country, do not do this, do not do this, do not do that. Yeah, because there has been a notable documented history of the community not being what people expected them to be, or there has been a lot of talks that is not good about this community. So it's only wise that people protect their own. Okay. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this one. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, drop your comments in the comment section because I really like to know what you all think. All right. Please always drop your comments because I read your comments and I like to listen to read other people talk about things from their own point of view. All right. Please always drop your comments in the comment section. Please don't forget to like, subscribe. Okay. Please, all right, remain the original creators of these videos. All right. Thank you so much for watching this one, and I will see you in the next. Bye.